This is Interminal. I don't know why it's quiet. I imagine there's probably more sounds. As far as I know, this was billed as a walking simulator in an airport. I like airports a lot. That may be a weird, controversial statement to say. That may put me on a watch list. But I feel like airports give a lot of this feeling of like being in between. Oh god, it's so loud. Sorry, Jesus, Louises. Oh god, lower the volume. Oh shit. Oh, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ah. Oh my god. But airports have always been like a fascinating place to me because of what you can find, right? Airports are a bit of a weird mix between like a mall, but also like a station of like sorts, right? So you see a bunch of people that you have no relation to, that come and go, right? And their time with you is a very sort of transient. They don't stay with you for too long. Once they're gone, they're just gone. But the weird part is that everyone at an airport is there for a shared purpose. One of the best parts of being in an airport is that everybody knows why you're there, and everybody is willing to leave each other alone for the sake of being able to just enjoy what little free time you have before your flight starts. This game is an infinite airport. What? Left click to smell, right click to return. What? Smells like tobacco smoke with a tasty plum. Sure, I'll buy it. The best part is always these like stores, right? Every airport has a bunch of random unrelated stores that sell a bunch of useless stuff that nobody actually cares about, that is way too expensive for what you can get compared to outside. But airports have always been like a chill place where, you know, there's no real rules, right? Well, there are rules, obviously. You can't bring certain things into like an airport and you can't do certain things, but for the most part, because everyone is there for like a specific purpose to like fly away, you don't have to conform to societal standards, right? It's the only place that I've heard, it's the only place that I know of where you can just be you can be in your PJs out in public, and you're in the right place, and you can be beside a business person in a suit, and it feels just as like fine. Chill LA, what? Sounds like honey surrounded by sulfur. Sure, bye. It's a very weird feeling overall. Salatic, what? Smells like Chinese quince as much as it smells like bramble seeds. Fast Ocean. What? Smells like pencil wood or maybe cheap alcohol. Please. Wait, what? Smells like mellow vodka with a tiny bit of 95 octane fuel. So really bad, actually. Whoa. Now, as a walking simulator, it does feel very sort of like, you know, smells like lavender watch with 80s electronic device that keeps you awake overnight. It does feel a lot like a chill vibe kind of game. Huh. Istanbul, Dubai. Do not go to Dubai. Mumbai, Amsterdam, Stockholm. Heraklion, Geneva. Thessaloniki, Rome, Ciampino. But it's exactly what I, remember about airports. Mind you, I haven't traveled in a very long time. Whenever I did travel, it was for like family purposes, right? But all the memories I have of like airports are, it's a place where no rules really apply, except for the obvious ones of like, don't scream that you have a bomb. That's a serious offense. Don't bother people. Don't like make people angry. But in terms of like, having to fit to some standard, there was no standard. You could shit your pants and no one would like bat a single eye. And that's the beauty of like airports, right? It's a place that you go to as a midway point to somewhere else, always. Either a landing point where your journey ends, or where your journey begins. It's one of those weird, fascinating places that like only serves that purpose. Other places that are similar but don't really feel the same are like subway stations, right? I go to a subway station and I don't feel the same way that I do inside of an airport. It doesn't have the same vibe of like you can do and be whoever you want. Because it has this like, it's a very different feeling inside of a subway station. And I think it's all down to like, maybe because of like, you're going somewhere that's still where you are, right? There's no Twilight Zone. It doesn't operate at like all like hours. It is what it is, right? Whereas an airport, it's 24/7. These things fly constantly. There's no stopping it. You could go at 5 a.m. and you could go at like 2 p.m. and the only difference is how much light comes through inside a terminal. Like, God, it's such a hard to describe feeling. It's that feeling of like nothing really matters because you're just there for a single moment. And so at least in this moment, there is at least some quiet, some peace. A moment of contemplation even. And time for you to just think. Although to be fair, this airport has a lot to like go through. This airport is infinite, by the way. There's no stopping it. You can just keep on going forever. But it captures the vibe very, very well. You get to watch the like planes fly off and stuff. You get to see things go. It feels peaceful almost, right? Because you know that nothing bad's going to happen. You know that nothing crazy is going to go down. You can just sit back in your chair, wait for your flight number to be called, and you'll be off on your way to somewhere new. It's a very weird feeling. And I always think about, what Anthony Bourdain said about, every American should have a passport and everybody should be able to like travel at some point. No, although, the capability is different from the desire, but I think he was speaking more to increasing the capability so that everyone could. Being able to learn about each other and the world around us, right? It's why airports feel kind of like magical in a sense. It's the one way that we've been able to connect with each other globally. To be there as like a person. To really experience everything. That's the beauty of an airport. It's a gateway. It's the closest thing that we have to time travel, actually. If you feel backwards in like a time zone. It's the closest thing that we have to a portal as well. Just a very slow one. Left like the smell. Smells like almond, as good as a well-made foot cream. I'll buy that. I love feet. Suaviter. Smells like pineapple injected into white wine. I hate wine. I'll buy it. Last time I went to the airport was to drop something off. And the airports are like wild, right? Everybody dresses and like does things that you don't do normally. Like you see people get like hammered instantly. And if you get off the plane in like Vegas, inside the airports, there are gambling machines right away. Slots, roulette, whatever the heck you really want. It's all there immediately, as far as I can tell from like photos, right? Airports really feel like balls to the walls, like a weird place. You pay $30 for like spaghetti. You will pay $7 for like a single bottle of like water, right? Overpriced to shit. It feels good. Comatose. What does comatose smell like? Smells like Earl Grey enriched by Rowan. Nice. Impecciante. Let's buy it. Neighbor Bond. What? What's this? This is nothing. Smells like rose but more than necessary amount of melon. Naisaki. Femoral. Fentanyl? Interestingly, though I don't know why you would do this, you can go to the airport just to watch the planes fly. I imagine you would be on the list fairly soon because, it's kind of a really weird thing to do. But I've heard of many plane watchers who really like to see planes before they go out of service. Or when a plane that's like a rare sort of in-service plane land at a particular airport. I'm pretty sure there's only a couple of Boeing 747s left. Most of them have been upgraded to the Max version. So I imagine someone's gonna record those at some point. Similar to how trains work, right? People go to watch trains. Because an airport, if you don't know, is just it's a private business, right? Technically, but it's also kind of a public space. You can just go in and hang out. Not that you would. There's no reason to. You go in to buy really expensive stuff, but in my mind, it's funny to think about how we have malls, right? Airports could have been the new mall. Phage. Santogo. Smells like pomegranate that enveloped Earl Grey tea. Smells like pencil wood when compared to gosh, that creeps you out. And it's one of those weird things that I wish did happen. I wish that we treated airports more like malls compared to the utilitarian purpose that they are today, right? Because it would be fun to just drop in to like an airport. Because again, if you go to like a mall and you're dressed like a slob, it feels weird. Queer villa, I need this. Like it makes, like it just feels weird, right? You can't go to a mall in your PJs. People are going to look at you. But here, I can dress whatever the hell I want and I'll just blend right in. All you need is cheaper food, cheaper stuff, cheaper prices, and it feels really, really good. Refreeze. Refroid. Refresh. Smells like lemon with a bare minimum of nuclear waste. Buy. Massive. To buy that in an airport? Dude, insane. Litica. Like... erotic literature. Smells like old man's breath surrounded by hibiscus. Nasty. Santola. Veritissima. Chomani. What? Smells like red wine as bad as a poorly prepared strong manly hands. Worth it. Incadencia. Buture. Santola. Vomit. Vamiz. Smells like sanded metal enveloped in pollen. Nice. Wait, what's this? Secreto. It's like a secret. Or maybe like a secretion. Smells like rose much more than natural gas. Buy. Instant buy. Papyra. Like a paprika, but like worse. Smells like wet mop as good as a well-made chicken from Wet Dreams. What? Veritani. Wait, can I leave? Can I go on a flight or like no? Landing. Go to gate. Go to gate. Cancelled. The worst are cancelled flights. Those are the worst. Because you have to wait for a long time to get even like back on. And the worst part is that even if you wait and you get onto like the next flight, right? Throws your whole schedule off. You won't be able to go to your next flight. You won't be able to go to your whole hotel. You may not even have time to go to some events that you planned, right? In a weird way, actually, airplanes are one of the few things that feel more on time than most countries' public transit systems. Like compared to like here, our transit system around where we live is garbage. I regularly had to take the bus home from like work, and it would take me vomisphere. Vomit these nuts. Smells like anxiety with a big puberty hormones. Worth it. That's exactly what a vomisphere should smell like. Miritaire. Nasaris. Herrero. That actually sounds real. Smells like classic art with a frugal amount of freshly cut grass. Delta Soul. Phalos. Kiralista Practidad. And it's weird that planes are so on time. But it makes sense considering the like costs, right? I do remember one time when I was taking the train home. The snow wasn't even that bad, but like the train line went down because where I live, despite the fact that we're in Canada and we have every year without fail it snows. Without fail. We know when it's going to snow without fail. The estimates have never been wrong, right? Without fail. And every year when it snows, the entire transit system shuts down for the entire day. So there was one time when it was snowing, okay? And I had to walk home 3 hours. Because there were no transit lines and the buses were always packed. So I just kept on walking. I was like, at some point I'm gonna get home from the station that I'm at, right? And at least if there is an empty bus, then I'll be able to like get on if it's empty, right? If there is space, but there never was. So I would walk home for like hours, and I finally got like home. It was the worst day ever. That was the worst day at like work. Although one time there was a giant snowstorm once, and that snowstorm was like awful. It was really bad actually. It was up to my, I want to say like past my knee. So like maybe like halfway up my thighs. And I'm a Greek god at 5'6". And so like when the snow hit me, right, and when the snow hit the trains, everything shut down. I had thankfully gotten relatively close to where I needed to go home, but even then, it was still a good 1 hour walk. And mind you, it was late at night too, because at that time, I used to be a very diligent worker, aka I used to be a sucker. What's that? I want that. Where? What's the stairs? Where? I want that. I want that perfume. And so what ended up happening was that I walked all that way. Somehow I didn't lose my legs or my arms or my ears, but it was really, really cold. I thought I would lose some limb. Trafani. Smells like strange cat embroiled with scarlet firethorn. And I came in and I was completely frozen. Like my pants were completely frozen. I dressed poorly too for that day, because I didn't know it would get so bad later on. I didn't check the like news. That ever since then I've always checked the weather just in case. But at an airport, nothing stops an airport ever. Even like heavy snow usually doesn't stop planes. The only time I've ever seen them cancel flights was because of a giant snowstorm, worse than the one that I had to walk home in, that caused such low visibility that it was so dangerous to even like leave home. You couldn't even see in front of you by like a foot. That's how bad it was. It was so bad that like everything was like shut down. And I remember being stuck inside and it was like, oh my god, we're going to like die. Then the very next day it was like sunny again. And I was like, okay, cool. But that's the only time that I've ever seen like an airport fail someone, right? Public transit always fails. Airports, it's because you pay for them. Well, I guess you pay for public transit too. Your taxes did. How bad did my limbs get on the color scale? Yeah, so first they become red and then blue and like black. So blue and black is like you're basically frostbitten and you're dead. Mine was just red. My ears were getting cold though. I had to do the whole blow into my hand and then cut my other ears. I had to do that very, very often to make sure that they didn't fall off. Eula. Smells like puberty hormones as much as it smells like a eraser at the top of a pencil from Wet Dreams. Bye. The one thing that this game is missing, I think, this weird experience of being inside of like a nice chill airport, walking around, seeing how things go, is it needs to be like restaurants. Really overpriced restaurants. If there's an overpriced like a food stand or like a booster juice, there's always a booster juice in every single airport. Or some kind of juice stand, right? People love to drink a juice before their flight, even though you're just gonna shut it out on the flight. The last flight that I ever went on, I almost missed actually. I thought I didn't have to take a shit and I thought I could hold it, right? Then I want to say like 10 minutes before my flight was called, I had to take a massive shit. Then I was like, okay, honey, hold the bag. I'm gonna go take a shit. You text me if they call us in, okay? And then as I'm wiping, she calls me and she's like, honey, we're boarding. I'm like, oh fuck. Listen, I felt disgusting that day. My asshole itched the entire way through. The entire flight. It was so itchy the entire flight. As soon as we like landed and we got to the hotel, I instantly went to like shower. I just couldn't handle it. But I couldn't hold it, okay? And if you've ever taken a shit on an airplane, you know how bad it is. It is so bad. Listen, there was turbulence, okay? There was turbulence on our flight. I'm pretty sure somebody was inside there and they took a shit, and I'm pretty sure they were splashed on. And I feel really bad for them. Really, really bad. It was a massive shit too. I had to go. It was my fault for eating too much in that morning. I should have eaten less. Yodo. Suavature. Platacome. But this game really does capture the vibe very, very well. It just needs overpriced restaurants. It needs the like drones of like, you know, calls of was it boarding gates and like stuff. It needs like, you know, the front area where like, you know, There's like a highway that like leads right into your airport. It needs to like taxi drivers outside waiting to like talk to you, waiting to like get you to use their taxi over someone else's. What other stores do airports have actually? Oh, it needs gift shops. It needs gift shops. This airport is missing gift shops. I don't know why you would buy gifts inside of a gift shop instead of an airport. To me, it seems like a waste because you can just go outside and buy an actual gift. Because the ones inside airports are very sort of like, sanitized, if that makes sense. Like when you come to a Canadian airport, right? The gift shop is beanies with like, a maple leaf on them. Hockey jersey shorts with shirts, hockey jerseys, the shirts with the maple leaf on the back. Maple syrup themed things like small maple syrup, jars in the shape of a maple leaf. You get like maple leaf themed like trinkets and like toys. You can buy special coins like the Canadian Royal Mint stuff, right? Like here's your new 2023 dollar or your 2023 toonie, because we have coins for the dollar and the $2. So if you ever want to give someone like a dollar, you throw a coin at them. It's tradition to flick your coin at someone when you're handing them money inside Canada. Okay, it's a skill check. If they can't catch it, then they're not meant to like be here. The other weird gift I've seen is like Canadian themed nail clippers. I don't know why this is a thing. Okay, you have your normal nail clippers, and they print on the top a maple leaf, like a Canadian maple leaf, and it says Canada. I'm like, why? What's the point? Who's going to use this? Like I've never seen a nail clipper and it said, wow, I really want to cut my nails, but in a Canadian way. We don't have nails. It gets so cold inside Canada that our nails fall off at the age of 12. Yeah. Those nails that you saw every time you saw my hands on the camera, that was all fake. I painted those. Yeah. That's what this game needs. Shitty gift stores, restaurants, people on the PA saying random things, especially, but the PA voices have to be garbage. The PA has to sound exactly like this. Okay, please boarding gate 12 and everybody get down and then you should have done everything that you have. And please have a safe flight and really please and okay. Security there now, please. And it's like, it's like, what are you saying? There have been so many times where actually, there's like, I have to drop people off at the airport often, right? It's just a thing that we have to like do. Because like, everyone is like old and like we're the only people who could like really have like time to like drive them. Every time we've done that, we've always been at risk of losing like a flight because we can never understand what they're calling on the shitty PA system. It makes you wonder why there's a shitty PA system in the first place. Why not just use like a I don't know, like an informational board? It seems easier. Dude, the last time you took a shit in a public place was sometime around when you were 6, when you were staying in a clinic for a long time. Yep, and you hated doing it so much that you got constipation because you wouldn't go shit. Yep. Hey, Solatier, what's this? Smells like first class yeast sprinkled with melon. I'm the same way. I really can't shit in like a public place. Like, at least airport washrooms are at least very clean, right? Like, very clean. They clean that shit constantly. As a security thing. Like, they clean it constantly for security reasons, right? So at least inside of an airport, you're at least relatively assured that it's a clean and like safe space, right? But outside, like a McDonald's washroom is like death. A McDonald's washroom is like death. And the crazy part is, when you work at these places, right? You need to use those washrooms too. There's no separate washroom for you. So when you take a shit, so just know that someone who's like, serving you has had to use that same washroom. And now it's all over your like food. Okay? There's no doubt in my mind. But our immune systems are used to it. Oh, there was one time that we actually did almost miss. So not like us, but like the people that we had to drive to the airport. Volvo. Smells like rust enriched by honey, just like vulva. It's just like vulva. But the one time that the person that we were driving almost missed a flight was because the person told us and like 7 other people to go sit in this section, okay? And they were like, okay, wait there for your flight. But when we got there, the section looked run down. Like the section looked like it was closed off, and it was like really late at night, right? But I was like, it's probably fine, right? We sat there for 2 hours, okay? We were waiting. And at some point, one of them was like, this is weird. Our flight should have been now, no? Like, shouldn't we like go like board? And I was like, yeah, like no one's come to like call us yet. So my wife goes with someone to go find out what's like happening, right? They go up to the person and like ask. They speak to the manager of the area, and I've never and my wife was like, they were so mad because the session that we were sitting in was like they shut it down because there weren't enough flights, so no one was going to like come. The flight was 5 minutes away from like going, so we had to go and like bring that person immediately there. And then when we were walking by, my wife said that they were like, you know, chewing out the person who told us to like go there. I was like, oh my god. But like that still scares me because like once you miss a flight, it's over. That's $1,200 down the like drain, right? It's over. Good thing you don't go outside and thus don't go to Max and like stuff. Same. Imagine leaving like home. Couldn't be me. I mean, to be fair, I never left my home anyways beforehand, right? Like neither my wife nor I want to go outside ever. It takes a lot for us to want to leave the like home. And COVID was like a very sort of like, you know, normal thing for us because we just stayed inside all the like time. Dinah Yonsei. Smells like elderberry as much as it smells like weird doorknob touched by at least 1,000 people worth. I love that smell actually. I've always wanted to lick a doorknob because they'd have like a weird metallic like a taste to them. Always. But yeah, COVID like... COVID made us feel less weird for staying in all the time. We felt at like home being able to just stay in and like do nothing. And I enjoy that a lot. As does my wife. You know, it may surprise you, but we get along well. And it ends up being like a better time for us to like, stay in like doors. But honestly, sometimes you just can't resist the draw of like a McDonald's or like a Burger King. Especially we get like a once every couple months craving for Burger King. Well, I do. My wife hates Burger King. She doesn't like anything from there. I get a once every couple months craving and I go there. And at least there's like drive-thrus, right? I'm very thankful that there's still drive-thrus, and I'm very thankful that they didn't replace every single thing with a food delivery something, right? Because they could have. And they probably will eventually because like, you know, they just want more profits, right? And a drive-thru means more employees, which means more things like health insurance and paying a livable wage. They don't want to do that. The fuck? It's a waste of money. So, you know, make sure to use your drive-thru as much as you can. Because once it's done, it's over. You'll never have another chance ever again. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't feel COVID much either. Except the fact that your germophobia became much, much worse. Same. Holy shit. Listen, I'm already like a huge, a germaphobe, right? And it all started because when I was younger, I used to crawl under restaurant tables. And then one day I looked up. And I saw all the gum and all the nasty shit stuck to the bottom. And I was so horrified that I never left the bottom ever again. Ever since then, two things scare me. The seat closest to a window, because the windowsill is always fucking disgusting. There's always like nasty shit there. It's like covered in like dust and like, you know, grease. And someone's like snot. And there's always like a weird piece of food stuck behind the like curtain. It's like, oh. So I hate sitting near the window, and I hate getting my feet under a table. Like, a lot. I don't know why. Like, my room is surprisingly spotless. There's, like, no hint of, like, anything alive in my room, except for me. And my, like, 4 underwears on the floor. But that's just, like, a normal thing, right? And that's how it should be. IMO. That's how it should be. That's how, like, any good private space should be. Private office space. Because, man, I got disgusted by seeing that stuff. There was so much shit underneath. God. Naturalope. Smells like nuclear waste in a can of pumpkin. Nice. Buy it. Caleras. Cento. Wait, that's nice. Smells like lavender and watermelon. Easy buy. Easy buy. Easy buy. But yeah, COVID was nice except for the fact that, you know, it was a giant, you know, crippling, like, pandemic across the world. It was nice at least to just have space to, like, be me without anyone questioning why I never go outside. It's very good. And it's not that we hate going outside. It's just, it's too much effort almost, right? Tofu science. Wait, tofu science. Smells like doorknob touched by... Okay, fine. Crystalline. That is a that is a good name. Holy shit. Smells like cocky apple that envelops old man's breath. Alright, buy it. Miritat. Lunala. Melabond. Smells like first class classic coffee covered with gosh. What is a gosh? Isn't that like a knife? But yeah, it's not that we hate going outside. It's just there's just too much stuff to, like, you know, deal with. Driving there, talking to people, dealing with all the nastiness. And we, like, you know what I mean, people are, like, you know, on, like, edge after everything, right? For obvious reasons why. I'm not blaming the people, I'm blaming the system, right? But I don't want to deal with that. I would rather be in my room where it's 100% safe, predictable, nice, okay? Reminds me a lot of that lady who was afraid of going outside, and the moment that she stepped outside, a car hit her, and so she never left the house ever again. She didn't leave the house for 14 years. The first day she goes outside, she gets hit by a car. She survives, but then she's like, okay, I'm never going outside ever again. I've been proven right. It is a sign for me to stay indoors. Volvatage. Smells like mysterious carbonic acid rather than cow dung. Worth. Actually based. Well, I mean, maybe it was like maybe she paid someone to, like, hit her, right? I would do that for, like, shits and giggles. It would be funny. I was like, I have the best prank ever, right? Have someone hit me with a car very, very lightly, right? And it's like, there we go. Sign given. Going outside is cringe. I agree. You don't need, listen, you don't need sunlight. Sure, vitamin D doesn't go through your window for the most part. I mean, maybe, I don't know. There's, like, conflicting studies between the, like, two. But that's okay. Vitamin D is not necessary for anything but being happy. You don't need it. There's no point. All you need to do is stay indoors. You have everything that you need on your computer. Why even leave? Cocolera. Wait, cholera? It smells like vodka baked with methane. Fuck, it's cholera. Vomicion! Smells like cheap alcohol. No, more like spoiled watermelon. Again, it's not that going outside is, like, bad. It's just, it's hard to want to go outside when, like, it's so shit now, right? At least before, it was, like, kind of cool when there was a lot of, like, free stuff to, like, do, or, like, very cheap stuff to, like, do. But now the only free thing left in most places is maybe your library. And even then, like, the library has, like, nothing, right? If you're not into reading books, and you're not into, like, reading books, you know, in, like, a group, then there's no point, right? There's a lot of, like, fun events and, like, workshops, but if you're not into any of the workshops at, like, a library, then there's also no point. Museums cost money. Science centers cost, like, money. There's no cool concerts or anything. There's, like, no weird stuff that happens outside. Going to, like, a park doesn't even feel like fun anymore. It feels very, like, I don't know, like plain. Not even, like, plain, but, like, empty almost. Because it feels like there's, like, nobody there anymore, right? Like, just, like, doing stuff. It used to be, like, you could, like, join, like, a pickup game of, like, soccer. And now, like, no one really does that anymore. It's weird. Yeah, this D thing. I think it's a good idea for you to check out. Exactly. You loved petting cats as a kid. You think your germ phobia probably started when your grandma said you would get cancer if you kept petting them. Oh my god. You didn't stop petting them, but from that time on, you would always pet them with the back of your hand, thinking there would be less microbes getting to you, since it's not the front of the hand. Your grandma trolled the shit out of you. That is a top tier troll. Home essence. Smells like doorknob rather than gosh. Yeah, sure. That's a very home essence. smell. Makes sense. I mean, that's like it's funny how like parents do that stuff, like, or like older figures in our lives. They'll say the craziest shit to try to like get you to like stop, right? Instead of just like being honest with you as like a kid, they like instead of saying, "Hey, sweetheart, you shouldn't pet that cat because you don't know where it's been. It could be dangerous, right?" Instead, they like say the most outlandish shit. It's like, dude, like just be honest. Just be honest and like get your child to like understand you. Put in the effort to get your child to understand you, because saying the most outlandish shit is either chromosome cross me. Sorry. Saying the most outlandish shit is going to cause your kid to like hate you after, or like be like all fucked up and shit. This is like somebody trying to spell perfume, but like they just didn't know how to spell perfume. Perfume. Smells like nuclear waste and a little bit of fig. I'll buy it. Quomoline. Hellis. To be fair, it is a fairly smart move, not like a super smart move, but animals are always like scary in public because you never really know what they're being through. In Canada, we don't have too many cases of rabies, but when we do have it, like it's very hard to tell because for the most part, it seems like a regular cat or like a dog. But for the most part, like it's mostly fine to just pet like cats and like dogs. Like sure, sometimes they're like, you know, kind of like nasty some other times. Especially like a stray animal, dude, the amount of fleas and like stuff, holy shit. There's a lot. But if it's like a neighborhood cat, it's like great. Oh fuck, I have some bad news. Oh fuck. There's a neighborhood cat around my mother-in-law's place that when my wife and I used to live there, we would love to hang out with every single day, okay? She would always come on by and always like meow, and we would be like, Mrs. Fat Cat, and we would love playing with her because she was so cute and like chubby, right? We would love holding her and like stuff. A car hit her apparently, and I was like, holy fuck. And the fucker like drove off, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. She passed away. I'm very sad, but it's why I try not to ever have like an outdoor pet, even like a cat, right? Because like, again, the world isn't made for animals anymore. At least the human world. It's like too dangerous, right? But that cat was like our favorite cat. And we knew where they lived too, because we would always like see them go in and out, and we'd say hi to our neighbor and like stuff. I was so sad when I heard it, because like a dude, like why? Like Jesus. She's a very visible cat too. Like she's fairly bright. You can see her even like during like nighttime. But in that area, the like drivers are fucking insane. I hate it. Nobody knows how to drive like slow or like safe. Everyone thinks that they're a better driver than they really are. And it gets to some terrible stuff, dude. I'll miss that cat forever. Yeah, you could just have to wash your hand or something. Exactly. Like just tell the like, truth to like a child, right? Because like if you just make up stuff, it scares them. It also was mostly your family cats that you petted. They would mostly hang around outside bacills. See, like that's even chromatus. Smells like penis with a bare minimum of poorly watered mint. Just like DNA. Yeah, see, stuff like that is like fine. Especially if it's like a family cat or like a well-known cat. You're never really at like risk. And at least like you get to like, you know, bond with them. You get to learn how to like interact with them, right? Like it's not bad because they used to you too. And now, you know, it like messes you up forever. It's why for my nieces and my nephews, I'm always very straightforward with them. Even if it's a bit like, you know, difficult to explain it to them. Like my niece, she loves seeing the puppy, right? But I always tell her, you knock at the door and you wait for me to open it. Because even though I leave it unlocked, it's for your mom to open the door because she knows what to like do. One time she tried to open it before we were ready to, and the dog was about to run out. So I slammed the door on her. I didn't hurt her or like anything, but I closed it really, really fast to make sure that the dog wouldn't like run. And I went upstairs and I talked to her and she was like, sorry. So she, like kids understand, right? Kids understand why if you taught them and you say, hey, like if you do that again and the dog runs out. And I told her like very upfront, like the dog could die, right? And like, you know, it's not bad to talk about death with like kids, right? It's important to get them prepared on some level for the responsibilities of their actions, right? You can't call them forever. As long as you approach it correctly. Again, You need to know your child. You need to know how to talk to them. You need to know how to like, say these like things. And even me explaining it sounds like bad, but again, it was very much like a, oh, don't open the like door, and then like, closing it just to make sure that she like knows like, hey, like, even if you want to come in, you can't because the dog like run. But that ended up being better for her overall because now she always waits. She will knock, she will wait, she will not open the like door because she knows that there's a risk to it. She understands the consequences. It makes her more appreciative of it when she actually gets like time with a dog, right? When I do open it. It's very important too. Very, very important. And it's the whole mindset of like babying it for your like for your child, right? You should baby a lot of things. And maybe don't show them like, obviously like really fucked up shit. And don't say really fucked up things around them. Right? You have a responsibility to like at least put them on the right path. But the responsibility also lies in like being able to communicate patiently with them, earnestly with them, and honestly. You need to be willing to be very honest about, what could happen. And, stuff like that is very important because, again, it's gonna follow them for the rest of their life. Because when you're young, those experiences stay with you forever. And I know that my niece, though it was hard on her, and like though she did have like a temper tantrum like one day because I didn't open the like door in like 5 seconds. At least now she knows like, hey, like being patient is like fine. It's fine to like wait. Even though it sucks to like wait, there's many good reasons why I would want to wait, and it's better overall. And she'll get better over time at it, right? Like as a kid, they have no emotional control. It takes time, a long time. But it's at least important to set the like the baseline of like, hey, you do have to be patient. There is like a safety reason here, and I don't want you or the dog to be hurt. So please wait. Very important to be nice to your kids and like just be honest with them. Be open. I always see a lot of parents kind of like dumb down the concept of like death, and they say, oh, we had to take the dog to the farm. And it's like, no, like just be honest with your kid. Because now your child is gonna believe that they're up on the farm just hanging out and stuff, and they'll be even more traumatized to learn that, oh, actually your dog is dead, long since dead. Way more traumatized. They won't even trust what you say anymore. It's a very serious issue. Kids can handle a lot more than we imagine them to, okay? I mean, again, we were all children once, right? And obviously kids are not the smartest beings out there. They're growing through a lot and their emotional control is out of whack, right? Kids are basically tiny little devils that walk around trying to cause chaos in your life. But it doesn't mean that they're stupid. They're very, very knowledgeable and they're very, very sort of like open to ideas. And as long as you explain to them what's like going on, they're gonna learn a much better and much faster IMO. But again, this is all in the context of being a good parent requires a lot of patience, right? And that's a hard job. It's hard enough as is, just like being good to yourself. So I don't necessarily blame parents for taking the easy route and saying like, if you keep opening the like door, a monster's gonna come snatch you. It's like, no, like it's because the dog is going to like die. But I can see why parents would say it because it's like the easy shortcut, right? Scare the shit out of them and then fix the issue later. If you even have time to. You may not even have like time to. Yeah, people think kids are much more stupid than they are, yeah. I mean, they are stupid. Don't get me wrong. Kids are very, very dumb. Okay? Like, there's memes. There's a very funny meme that I saw once. Jamiroquai. And that song, that his like famous song where he's like sliding towards the like camera. It was him photoshopped with a fork, and the caption was toddlers when they see an outlet. And he was slowly sliding towards the like outlet, a camera, and then bam, right? Like kids are stupid, but they're not stupid in the sense of like the word stupid. They're ignorant because they don't know anything. They're like a blank slate. You have to teach your kid everything. Like imagine having to tell a kid not to like stick a fork inside of an outlet, right? Or how to eat. Oh my god, trying to teach my like niece. I remember once I was trying to teach my niece how to eat. Okay, my first niece, my like eldest niece now. And one day I was left in charge of babysitting her. Mind you, I'm like 17, okay? And I'm like, I don't know what to do with a child, like, and she's like 5, right? And I'm like, and I remember asking her, I was like, what do you eat? And she was like, whatever mom and dad gives me. And I was like, so I took her to go get McDonald's, right? And I was like, do you know how to eat this? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll buy for you, right? So I got her like a pancake, right? Like the whole pancake like Happy Meal thing. And we got home to like eat it, right? She had no fucking clue. And I was like, do you know how to use the like knife? And she's like, no, usually mom and dad do it. And I was like, okay, look, come. I'll teach you, right? I'm never gonna babysit again because honestly, teaching a child how to use like stuff is impossible. They have no motor skills, they have no clue what to do. But I feel happy about it because when she did learn, it was like that moment that like opened my eyes to like, wow, this stupid child knows something. I love her. My niece. But yeah, babysitting as like a kid was like painful. I really hated babysitting so much. She's older now and I can talk to her about these like things and it's like way funny. It's very funny to like talk to her and then be like, ah yeah, I remember when you were a little baby and I randomly got assigned babysitting you and had to figure out how to like feed you and like keep you alive. It's like a 17-year-old. It's like, I don't know how to keep something alive. She was hard, man. She was hard. But it's worth it, right? In the end, it's always worth it. Now, she can cut a mean steak, I think. I don't know. We don't ever eat like steak. I don't know. I just imagine that she could. Good old parenting. I mean, again, this is not to say that I think every parent, you know, deserves to burn at the stake because they can't do it, right? Like, it's a hard job. Parenting is a very hard job to like do. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's why it's so important to get, you know, parents' rights, women's rights. It's why it's very, very important to make sure that, like, people know that they don't have to have kids if they don't want to, right? Like, even if they can't, right? Like, you have to be able to have that awareness of, like, well, if you can't, you probably shouldn't. If you don't want to, that's okay, too. Like, my wife and I are very much aligned on the idea of we're gonna be the cool aunt and, like, uncle who have no kids. And we're like the, like, cool sort of, like, hip, like, really cool, like, you know, I don't know, like an Addams Family. I don't know, like an Addams Family. Like, you know, Fester? Maybe not Fester. I don't know. He's a bit of a... Well, actually, no, he's really good. No, I don't know. And also, whatever. The entire Addams Family is psychopaths. I'm not saying that we're psychopaths. I'm trying to make a point about how cool we could be. You know what I mean? But that's why it's very important. It's why it's very important to sort of have these systems in place, because otherwise, you're gonna end up with like a whole generation of fucked up people for no reason, right? And I'm always reminded of this quote of like, no kid ever chooses their parents, ever. There is never a point where a child chooses their parents. It is one of the hardest philosophical things to like think about, because we're very much ingrained with this idea of like respect. Because most places sort of grow you up with this machinade. Smells like real fish as bad as a poorly prepared orange. But most places grow you up with this idea of like, respect your parents, they did a lot to bring you here and like take you here and like stuff. But at the same time, it's like, it's not like you're like, you know, magically able to like choose, I want them. Because if I could choose, I would have chosen like Jeff Bezos or like something. Or like Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is very easy to be a child for because he doesn't care about you. He'll hire someone to take care of you. He'll throw you money. You'll be rich beyond your belief. You can do anything at that point. Anything. Well, at least until he like dies. Or like, you know, like X fails or like something. I don't know. Which is, it is failing now. Fuck! Pock. Smells like a mysterious pumpkin juice drink wrapped together with smooth baby butt that goes brr. But because of that statement, it's like, I'm always reminded of the fact that, like, you know, parents choose to have a child for their joy. And so it behooves the parent to take very good care of their child. And, like, actually try to be, like, a good parent. It's hard, though. Yeah, as hard as it is, though, there's that sense of responsibility. Yeah, I am gonna use that at some point. Maybe the idea of, like, you know, maybe scaring them. I feel like, you know, even knowing all of this, someday I will maybe take that shortcut too, right? Because you never really know. I guess in the moment, especially if you don't know yourself, if these things are like safe, it's like, oh man, like I don't know if this thing is safe. I'll just say, oh, it'll kill you. Don't eat it, right? Like maybe, like, I don't know, right? I'm not saying that I'm smart enough, right? If I knew everything there is about the world, A, I'd be way more rich. B, I would have had a good sleep last night because I did not sleep long enough. You can kind of tell by today's energy levels. And C, I would be able to explain to them in such a way that even a understands. Yeah, children really choose anything. Yeah, basically nothing, actually. Children basically choose nothing. Even the choices that children choose, it's basically the choices that the parents allow them to. Always. A child doesn't choose to be born, doesn't choose the language it's going to learn, the country it's in, exactly. The parents is going to have this, the school that it goes to. The illusion of a choice for a child is like very real. Even the toys that a child chooses is not really a choice. If you ever watch like a parent buy toys for their kid, you'll see them say like, oh, do you want this one? And the kid will say, no, I want that one. And the parent's like, no, but we can't have that one. It's either this or like this. It's not really a choice, right? There are no choices for like a child's life. It's very detrimental to like a child's development too, to not give them the ability to choose and let them grow confidence in their own choices, right? It's very important to nurture a sense of independence inside children and give them the ability to choose truthfully to what they want. But I'm not paying for it. I only say that because whenever I have to go out with my family, if my niece wants something and I'm like, oh, do you want this one? Okay, sure. I pass the buck to my brother or my sister-in-law who pays for it. For their child. I don't spend a single dollar. If it was my money, I too would be giving one choice and one choice only. The cheapest choice. But it sucks for most children. All children, really. Especially nowadays, like knowing that, like, you know, I'm reminded of this of like, you know, various of like, you know, pseudo stats that are going around of like most Gen Zs as well as millennials know that, like, you know, society is going to collapse very soon, or like, you know, the climate's going to like implode at some point and there's no point doing anything. I'm reminded of like the work ethic thing that like people like cared about for like Gen Zs when they just wouldn't care about work. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how it should be. It's what we've been doing for so long. It's like we as millennials taught them not to care, right? There are very few things that you should care about because there's nothing really worth it anymore. So, you know, it's hard. Hard for a child. But still, I'm glad that at least my niece knows to not open the door. Because my dog, every time that door opens even a tiny inch, she runs. She is, oh, it's red, look. She runs so fast. Demos. Smells like friendly fireplace, much more than 95 autumn feel. Kunia. Smells like shrubbery with a big poorly watered mint. Nice. God, this game really does need like gift shops and like restaurants. And the weird part is that, like, you know, the airports where I'm at, they actually have like real restaurants, like an actual like a bespoke restaurant. Not like your like, you know, copy paste franchise. Although there are copy paste franchises inside of it as well. But it's like an honest to God restaurant that just could be outside. Obviously, it's not a 5-star restaurant. No one goes there to like eat the food at that restaurant. I imagine it's just there for those like bougie sort of like was it first class travelers who just want to like eat something that's within their sort of like price brackets. I can't be seen eating with the commoners at Burger King. What is this game, by the way? Waiting for the flights is similar? No. It is called Interminal. I didn't even say the name in the game. I'm so sorry. It's called Interminal. It is an infinite airport. It is a randomly generated infinite airport. So every single smell, every single thing is always random. It's just a very chill game to like end the day with, because again, I gotta go soon and my voice is like dying, okay? And again, tomorrow and the day after there's no stream, sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, I'm spending time with my wife. I say sorry in the sense of like, I'm sorry, not in the sense of like, I'm sorry for doing this to you, but more in the sense of like, I'm sorry that you're hurt by it. But yeah, so that's why we're doing this. We're just walking around, just like hanging out, talking about things, just like hanging out. It's a good game to like end things off on. But this game does need more restaurants. Oh, actually, so Singapore's airport. Because when my wife went, she said it was the craziest thing she's ever seen. The airport is like nuts. If you've never seen it, go watch up videos of it. I can't believe it's all inside of an airport, because like who spends more than 1 hour inside of an airport? Well, maybe like 5 hours. You know that whole meme of people going to the airport like 8 hours before your flight is a real thing, right? So I guess Singapore airport is like a good place to go if your family operates on that time schedule, right? But they have a giant water park, a giant water slide, a beautiful indoor terrarium, I believe. It's like a full like palm tree terrarium. It looks really nice actually. It's massive. There's like it's basically just an entire indoor garden. There's basically it's a giant shopping mall. It's a giant food like mall. It's massive. They have everything inside of there. And that's just like, you know, the public facing stuff, okay? I saw a video as well of one travel blogger, whatever. They went in and they showed off like, oh, what perks do you get if you go in the VIP lounges? Yes. Yes, sir. Would you like to go to the VIP lounges? Yes. Shit was insane. Dude, they have some crazy ass food, really good food. Just drinks out the wazoo. It's always clean and nice and like, you know, the view is like amazing. It's like this, but like, you know, way better. Like maybe, because this is a terminal, right? But their terminals have like a fucking garden in the middle. It's like, holy fuck. Palmatov. Dinana. Smells like peach much more than what tree is some. Hey. Smells like tangerine enriched by polluted air. I do like the color of it too. It really gives off that like vibe of polluted air. Tofuism. Smells like some hard to describe unpleasant odor rather than kebab. Well, that's a shame. Kebab smells really good. Really, really good. I love kebab. I mean, like, I don't really love kebab. It's like, if it's there, I'll like have it. But I'm more into like, you know, like different kinds of meats. Like I'm really into like chicken, for instance. Like a chicken shawarma or something. Or like a chicken falafel. Shit's so good. Actually, where I used to work, actually, there used to be like a really good like a street food building, which is a very cool idea. Papista! Smells like tulip with frugal amounts of depression. Easy buy, easy buy, easy buy. All of us. But where I used to work, there used to be like a street food, like a food building, right? And vendors could like buy like a spot there. It was like a small, chill like hall almost that you could go down. There's street food everywhere. The best falafel and the best chicken karaage I've ever tasted there. The best in my city, at least. Japanese chicken karaage and falafel. Everything else there was shit. It was absolute garbage. Overpriced too. Everything else there was like awful, okay? But those two it was so affordable for where it was. It tasted amazing. And the best part was you would go in, it'd be done in 5 minutes, and you would be able to just eat the entire thing. I'm pretty sure they lost money because of how large the portion sizes were. Vajani. What does it smell like? Smells like 95 octane fuel with a big ramonchi. What's a ramonchi? Yeah, from what you hear, Singapore in general is just like that with the plants everywhere. Yeah, I mean it's in the tropics, right? Like it's a very tropical place, and it's a very rich place. If that makes sense. It's a bit like, you know, like there's a lot of money there from like finance and like being like a huge financial sector. As well as now a growing sort of like a technical sector, a technological sector. But for the most part, it's been known as like, you know, the rich person's playground for like a long time. So all that money goes towards, you know, making the place look like a weird fantasy land. Obviously, there's downsides, right? You can't live in Singapore if you make under like 6 figures. It's literally impossible to some degree, but in a weird way, the city is also trying to work around that. If Singapore is also very well known for their cultural, I guess like cultural mainstays is probably the way to say it. But they have stuff like hawker stalls and like hawker centers, and a hawker is just like a food vendor, right? Like a street food vendor. But they have these stalls that are set specifically for street food vendors to be able to rent at extremely low subsidized prices because they recognize the cultural impact that these places have had, both on the cuisine of the country as well as the general vibe, right? It's sort of like what Anthony Bourdain said, that you can really learn about a place through its food, and you can really connect with the people through their food, and food is like a timeless thing, right? Singapore recognizes that and, like, you know, does that stuff for, like, you know, that portion of the population. But for the most part, yeah, it's a very expensive place that, like, has a lot of fancy things, and you really can't survive unless you make six figures. But it does help when your food stall is subsidized so that you can make six figures, right? It's just a very different game that you play. And you see a lot of that sort of, like, juxtaposition of, like, the ultra rich as well as, like, you know, the very common folk. You know, like that one restaurant that sold soy sauce braised chicken and, like, rice. They are a Michelin, I think a 2-star, a Michelin 2 or 1-star. It was just a street food, like, and a stall. And the story about that, like, guy was so interesting to me because the moment that he got the award, that very same day or the next day, he went right back to work at the stall. His prices never raised once. He never raised his, like, prices once because he had said, and I quote, "I want everybody to be able to still afford my food even after all of this." I was like, damn. What a fucking baller. Obviously, he uses his like, fame to good effect. He does, like, he holds events and, like, stuff around the, like, place to try to make it, like, you know, get his name out there and try to share, the, like, food and share the recipe and stuff. But for the most part, it's, like, the same deal, always. It's a very, like, nice way of doing it. And I think more places would do better with those kind of, like, street food vendor stalls. Because, A, food is expensive, but also B, like, it feels like a huge cultural thing to, like, be able to, like, have. Because a hawker stall naturally also gives you, like, this sort of, like, gathering spot, if that makes sense. You naturally have a place where people want to gather and, like, hang out, right? Libraries are very specific to a purpose. If you have people who don't like to read, they're not gonna go there, right? Same with museums, same with, like, you know, science centers, same with, like, parks, right? If you're not a nature person and you hate nature, you wouldn't go there. And it's not like a meme to say that you hate nature either. It's just like, you know, are you afraid of, like, bugs? Then you wouldn't go, right? Whereas, like, a hawker center is, like, a very nice sort of, like, you know, it's a very nice urbanized version of, like, a meeting spot that doesn't serve any specific purpose other than eating, which is a very generic purpose, right? Like, where I live, for instance, I wish there were more night markets and, like, stuff like that, or even, like, hawker centers. That one sort of, like, food stall vendor place, it closed down. Even before COVID, it closed down. That was the closest I ever got to, like, a very neutral meeting place for, like, things. Very, very nice. You could go, hang out, eat, hang out, talk, whatever. Go around the surrounding area, and there was a natural vibe around it too. And it, you know, it's goes into urban planning and, like, stuff. And I'm not the best at, like, explaining it. There's a much better channel on YouTube that, like, talks about it called Not Just Bikes. Not Just Bikes. That talks about, like, a lot of urban planning things, and, like, the walkability of, like, cities and, like, stuff. But stuff like that would really help a lot. And I wish more places copied Singapore's model, at least for cultural artifacts like hawker centers. Or, like, you know, I don't know if it's really a cultural artifact or, like, a cultural thing. I don't know what a good term for it is. Maybe, like, the, like, right term is, like, I don't know, just, like, stuff that you can do without having to be into, like, a specific, like, a purpose. Because what if you're not into, like, science, or what if you're not into, like, reading, right? You don't really have a place to, like, go. Or what if you're not into being outdoors? You don't really have a place to, like, go. But food, that shit slaps hard. Food slaps. You can't go wrong with, like, food, and it gives that natural sort of, like, halfway point. Yeah, like, public spaces. Thank you. That's the exact word. That's the exact word. More public spaces with a lot less specific uses. Like how airports, right? Like, I wish airports were more of a public space because it would be funny. Like, imagine you're just, like, walking around like an airport, and you go to a McDonald's there, and somebody beside you is, like, drunk off their mind because they're about to fly to, like, a Cancun, right? Or to Barbados or, like, something. And it's like, yeah, that's just a normal thing in, like, inside an airport. There are no rules. Everything's just, like, weird. But it's, like, the perfect place for, like, a very neutral meeting point, as long as it's easy to get to. Airports are kind of hard because you need a lot of space for runways and snipers on top of the rooftops to make sure that no one's being crazy. So maybe not an airport, but something like an airport, basically. Same like vibe. Like I just want a place where I can go in my PJs. No one's going to judge me. Where I can get food, I can buy stuff that I need, I can check out stuff that I want, and I can just go play it at like an internet cafe and then go home and sleep after. All within a 5-minute walk. Oh, actually, that's okay. That's the one thing that I did notice is like declining a lot as I go. There are no internet cafes left where I live. It's a very common phenomenon in like, South Korea. In Japan, kind of, but mostly it's like manga cafes and like stuff. From what I heard in Japan, most of the gaming market is in console anyway, so no one really like uses like PCs. Well, except for like HoloLive. I mean, I guess HoloLive is probably single-handedly carrying the entire PC industry in Japan. You never really know. But internet cafes, I've noticed, have been dying a lot, which is sad. They're a very fun place to just sort of go and like hang out and just sort of be you, right? And like just like, it's a fun place to like play games with your friends too. Because like, bringing your computer over to your friend's house is a pain in the ass. Especially if you don't have a way of going over, right? Like if you don't have a car, you're not gonna carry your... You do not want to carry your desktop on the bus. That is a recipe for disaster. Last time that I tried that with my friends, there were 4 of us guarding my bag. 4 of us. Like, I fit my entire computer in my giant oversized backpack, and I was carrying that shit. And I was like, yo, LAN party time. and they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, guys, I need bodyguards. Anyone down? And we just went. So, it's hard. Internet cafes are like nice to just like hang out and like, just be there. Play games like a LAN party. Although there is one actually that's kind of far from me now. It's like an hour and a half away. But they do bubble tea, internet cafe, as well as some street food stuff. And I'm like, fuck, that's a winning combination. And in the back, there's an illegal smoking mahjong room. I'm not even kidding you. There's an illegal after-hours smoking mahjong room all the way in the back, and I don't know why they always have this. Always. But you always leave by a certain time so as to not bother the regulars who like play back there. And by regulars, I mean, like the entire box? Yeah. Like the entire box, yeah. The entire case, yeah. Because like, it was it was like way long ago. When computers were like, when the parts weren't so bulky, like a graphics card was like very, very small and like stuff. And I didn't even have like a strong computer. It was like a very sort of like office computer thing. That was like a hand-me-down that we bought on like sale. So it was something that I just like was able to stick inside the bag. Mind you, it was heavy as fuck. But I was like, you know what? This is some good exercise. My back hurt the entire week. That shit actually hurts so much. It was the worst idea ever. But somehow it didn't break once. But I held onto my bag for dear life. So what I did was I put it into the bag. I met my friend who was going over there as like, well, like, I want to say 20% of the way there. So we timed the like stops and I was like, okay, no, right? They got onto the bus and I was like, yo, and then we, we like went. And I opened my like bag and I was like, yo, do you want to see it? And he was like, wait, really? It's inside there? And I was like, yeah. It looked like 2 kids doing like a drug deal, but it was just a giant like computer inside of my like bag. So and like we like did that. Like we would always call our friends like when we get to the stop and we see them, and we're like on now, right? So there were like 4 of us eventually, and our friend's house was like on the way there, and we're like, you know what I mean? Like we can collect people on the way as we like go, so no one's going like fully alone. And I had a bodyguard up until the final 20%. But at that point I was in my like area. I like knew what was going on, so it was fine. What did I play? I can't recall. I actually can't recall anymore. Yeah, what did I play? It wasn't Gmod, because I don't think Gmod was out at the time. Oh, no, I do remember. CS 1.6, because we had a USB that we had don't ban me for this. This was when I was a child. The statute of limitations is long past. This was when I was a kid. We had a cracked USB with a cracked copy of CS 1.6 that we shared around the school. So what we did was we would play in like a computer lab class, right? And then what we did then was also like everyone had their own copy. So when we went over, we like all played on it. All of my other friends either brought their laptops or they used my friend's second computer. It's why we played at their place because their setup was fucking nuts. And so we would be playing like CS 1.6. I don't know if there was League of Legends at the time. I don't think so because I don't recall playing it with them at that time. And it was a different group of friends at the time too. Oh, we played GTA 4 as well. GTA 4. Not like the online version, I don't think. I think what we did was we had my friend's computer, which was the really decked out one, right? So I do remember their computer was the only one who could run GTA 4. So we would take turns playing GTA 4 and like doing some like funny shit. And by funny, I mean really fucked up like war crimes. Like going into like the hospital and like, you know, going like crazy. But at the time as like a kid, it's like, whoa, funny game, haha. Yeah, I don't know, really weird. Yeah, it was mostly single player. I mean, it was mostly like CS 1.6. Some single player games. I think I tried to show them Diablo 2. I do vaguely remember that, but like no one liked it. But yeah, it was mostly like local co-op games that whatever we like had. And then we switched over to like a console afterwards to play fighting games. That was a long time ago. I never again will I ever bring it with me. Do I play SAMMP survival something multiplayer like Minecraft? I play solo. I play solo Minecraft. I played Minecraft on this channel before, which we'll go back to eventually. Because it's a fun game, though I think I lost my save, so hey, we have to start over, sadly. My Cherry Blossom World was really good. Fuck. It was such a good map too, fuck. Okay, but whatever, it's fine. Oh, San Andreas multiplayer. When I was younger, I tried to. But I didn't really like it. I mean, in general, I'm not into GTA in like general. It's like a very, I don't know, boring experience for me. Fatusier. Mirabelle, that's a beautiful name, wait. Smells like hibiscus deep fried using nuclear waste. Okay, put that back. Fatusier. Smells like a feeling of unease enveloped in cocoa. Nice. Yeah, unease. I don't feel easy anymore. Imagine there's a mushroom that is known to cause women to orgasm. The smell of the mushroom causes a woman to orgasm multiple times. Imagine that kind of mushroom smell, but for like a feeling of like unease and like dread. And you sprayed that on yourself. And you go onto a bus, everyone starts like vomiting out of like fear. And you're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. People have like panic attacks around you, like Vaminka. Man, vomit is getting very complex. But like Earl Grey tea, pretty much. There's also a trace of almond. Nice. You talking about the undecipherable airport announcer remind me. You once had to help to train a person English for the private pilot's license test. Oh my god, that already sounds like a very hard thing to like do. Because you need to know good English to be able to like pass those like tests. From what my boss used to tell me, because he was doing it as well. They were going to say, and we would do this exercise trying to decipher airline radio messages. That is a special kind of hell. Yep. Have you ever seen those? Well, I only know it from recreations, like those shows recreating like airplane crashes, but they always have the black box recordings. But even the ones where it's like, you know, a live airplane, they have the recordings of like what the calls sound like between the plane and the airport. It sounds impossible to like hear. That was like, oh, ground control, we want to go in at 275 knots, and we're hoping to get in roughly around 2 p.m. Weather's looking good, and one of the landing gears fallen off. Passenger that controlling some trouble. Over. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? And always, again, it still surprises me that like, people use shitty mics for those things. Because again, I feel like streamers put a lot of money into their mics to sound good, right? But like, streaming is at least some sort of purpose, right? But it's not like the most important purpose for like having a nice mic. And again, do you have an onboard integrated mic? It'll always sound good regardless of what you do, right? For the most part. But the one place where I would think good microphones would like come into play is a fucking airport. Why do they all sound like ass? I don't get it. Yeah, you sim a lot of YouTube videos with the recordings, right? Yep. And crash recreations. Okay, maybe... maybe sending Vamista! Smells like childlike wonder and more than the necessary amount of Granny Smith. I don't even know what that means, but sure. What's that? Fat air. Smells like spoiled saguaro when compared to sea salt. Solopause. The male equivalent to menopause. Smells like doorknob and molasses. Yeah, it maybe sending someone who's going to become a pilot crash recreations was not the best choice. I feel like that's like sending a firefighter like videos of like people with their skin slawed off in like a hospital, right? Like it's a very terrifying thing to like see. Though I guess it is accurate to like, you know, what could happen if you're bad, right? It's like, hey, you better pass this test, because if you don't, you're gonna be in one of these videos in this channel. It's like, oh fuck, you're right. But yeah, I don't know why the mic stuff sucks so much. I mean, most stuff, I don't know why the mic stuff, because like they spend a lot of money on like everything, right? I would imagine clarity of communication is the most important thing that you would want to for sure work. As far as I know too, it's not a bandwidth thing. As far as I can tell, it's not a bandwidth thing because the stuff for consumers is significantly higher quality, but it takes out around roughly the same bandwidth. And you can shave off bandwidth as like an on-transit thing, right? Or like on the receiving end. You don't have to receive the entire thing. You can shave off bandwidth as you like need it, right? It's not necessary to have it be like, you know, bad at the source. I imagine you could probably have it good at the source, and then when you receive it, you can shave off chunks that you know are consequential to the entire thing. Though I suppose there is that idea of like, you know... Actually, wait, no, yeah, because like, the less information that you have in transit, the less information that you have to recreate the message too. So if you have a shit source, right, you can't EQ and like filter it to sound great, no matter what you do. That's why I had to move the mic away to get rid of the bass proximity effect, right? Instead, what you want is to have as much information as you can. Practino! Smells like a special that envelops chokeberry. Just so that you can, at least, if the message gets destroyed due to some like issue, like, you know, some radio waves or something, or some conflict in the waves, or, you know, air or like general air interference, right? You at least still have something to like, you know, recreate it with. You can still at least make out more of the message than you would have beforehand. You know what? Everything I say, why is it so shit? I need to ask why. Although, to be fair, it is like older standards. And you don't want to change the standard unless you absolutely have to, because you never know what you need to like fix, right? So that maybe when it's on the radio, it's a radio thing. Like, it's just not enough frequency to carry a lot of sound. That's what I thought so too, right? But like, I imagine, because like, there's no real difference between radio and like, you know, Wi-Fi signals. Realistically, they're both roughly the same. Or at least they operate under roughly the same principles, right? Like, roughly the same principles, right? So I imagine you're probably able to push a lot of quality through it. It's just a matter of that frequency being too contested, from what I read. The idea of like, there's too much shit out there that can like mess with those frequencies, and therefore that's why you get so much like, you know, interference in between. But I've heard, you know the like number stations? The number stations sound more clear than, you know, most airplanes like radios. And the number stations are just saying the exact same thing over and like over and like over, unlike a recording. But they sound way more clear, because there's more fidelity. So, I feel like radio does have the required sort of like quality. Again though, it is one of those like old texts where it's like, you know, why even bother making it better, right? Yeah, but like the like black box, see, because the black box recording is a local recording, right? That's why I think it's just a hardware thing. It's like me recording my mic on my own versus you hearing it through like Twitch, right? I hear the full, you know, 160 bits of like audio bitrate. Sounds really good, right? But if my mic sounds like shit, then it would also sound like shit. That's how I imagine the black box would be like too, because it is a local recording. It's not like the black box isn't connected to the rest of the system. Like when they pull it out, it is actually connected by like wires and like stuff, and it is connected to the rest of the system. It just happens to be in a box that is designed to not explode or like melt or like anything, right? It's not like it's pulling data in from the air. It's getting it once it's been filtered through the rest of the system. So that's why I imagine Emogantia. Amazing. Smells like mysterious feeling of dejection or maybe puberty hormones. For Emogantia. Amazing. That is the best. This is the best smell yet. The best smell yet. I'll buy every single one. I'm broke. Emoless! Smells like molasses, which is not as good as sauerkraut. Amazing. Amazing. Reminds me of Caroline. And Mr. Bobinski. Very similar. This just has that Bobinski vibe. Nice. Although I have heard that also that because airlines and like airplanes are like a very competitive market. Like the margins are very thin because like how often do you buy like a plane, right? Like at most you may maybe make a fleet of like 1,000 planes at like most. And it's like okay, like that's it. Then you're only making parts, right? Like it makes sense to make it as cheaply as you can to derive the most profit in the long term, as long as you meet the standards set by the FDA, right? You know, people like use text messages to transfer info when possible, since it's hard to hear shit on the radio and other stuff. Exactly, they have a special system for that. Yeah, their own internal messaging system that they use inside the for communication between the ground and the air. And again, like that to me says that there's a major issue, right? Not to say that texting is like bad, but like, do you really want people's eyes off of like, you know, stuff? Because like an airplane airplane dispatch is like a very hard job. You need to be looking constantly because variables could like change instantly, right? And like you have to be monitoring that stuff always. Like as good as the technology is, it doesn't know what is like intentional versus not always, right? Like you have to you always have to have control of it. So do you really want them looking down on their phone to like read something? I don't think so. Like that to me says like it's a failure. And the reason why to me it's a failure is because human speech, we're so used to human speech as an asynchronous mode of communication, right? It doesn't get in the way of anything else that we do. When we talk about things, when we say things, we're always able to sort of say things, and we're also sort of able to like multitask with it. Regardless of what we're like, unless it's a very intensive task that requires all of our brain power. Generic Casso. This is the most generic perfume I've ever seen in my entire life. Smells like pumpkin with lots of sauerkraut. Amazing. Sour pumpkin spice. Amazing. Gut. It's very good. Smells like poly water basil with a trace of potato. But yeah, speaking is very easy because again, I can run around like this and like recognize things and still read it, but I can still talk to you about things because they're mostly two different sides of the like brain, right? But having to like sit down and like look at like text and like read it or like even like type it back, it takes me out of the loop of being able to walk around and like stuff, right? It feels like a problem waiting to happen, and I'm surprised that there hasn't been more of a problem. But at the same time, I've heard that flying a plane is a lot of autopilot to the point where it's like, for the most part, your pilots are just there to like manually correct in case of a major breakdown. Like a major breakdown. Mercy pause. Mercy pause. Mercy pause. Amazing. Thank you, menopause. Smells like chicken broiled with classic coffee. On brand. My brand. Though to be fair, I like the text message system is also there in case of like, you know, major emergencies where you can't say anything, right? Like you have to have a system that is at least attainable to being quiet too, just in case, because you never really know, right? Or Biction, what? Smells like a biscuit as bad as a poorly prepared cardboard plastic. Well, okay, fine, smells good. Blows. Homerus. Smells like peach much more than relaxing, moldy, smelling baby butt. Why is there so much baby butt? I noticed that about a lot of like, you know, high impact jobs too. Like not just airports, but like hospitals as well. Like being in the hospital a lot. The intercom system fucking sucks. I don't know what the fuck the people are like saying half the like time when they call someone up and stuff. And again, like when you're in the hospital, right? You're mostly delirious unless you're somebody who like likes to cause problems. Okay. Every time I've gone to the hospital, it's been because I have no blood left in my body, right? So imagine, I am delirious out of my mind. My family doesn't know a single lick of like English, right? As like a teenager, right? And I need to listen for them to say something. I can barely understand things because there's no blood left in my body to even think about, right? And they're like, yes, it's your turn to come up and like, you know, check with the intake nurse, please. How am I supposed to like know that? All these like major areas, it just feels like you should have better IMO. Yeah, when it comes to commercial flights, yeah, exactly. It's mostly autopilot, and exactly, yeah. They're just to make sure that like nothing fucks up, because they're the only ones that at least have the skills to fly it manually, with like, you know, just like the like basics of like flying, like engine power, thrust, and like wings, and like gliding, and like, you know, like airflow. They at least know that much to be able to like do it. And they're obviously very skilled in the systems as like well, being able to like know like what's wrong with the system, being able to diagnose it, and then being able to like come up with a plan on the fly. I like to think of pilots as like, you know, very highly trained or very poorly trained problem solvers in the air. They're very poorly paid for the hard job that they do. But when shit hits the fan, you sure as hell want a really good pilot. You sure as hell want one. But yeah, airports, hospitals. Again, these are mostly public services, somewhat. I mean, airports are private, but hospitals are like public, so it makes more sense why they can't avoid any. They can barely afford to pay their doctors as is, and their nurses, so kind of hard. They do fly a lot manually on simulators, you would think. Yeah, they really do. Most of your training is like, you know, flying manually on simulators. And you have a lot of training on like how to use the autopilot and like how to fly with it. Because there is kind of like the assisted mode of it too. Last time I saw. Because like, when you take off, it's like somewhat manual, but it's also mostly assisted. And as you're landing, it's somewhat manual, but it's also mostly assisted. So it's like knowing how to like use that stuff too. But for the most part, yeah, they're like very highly trained. Like by the time you start to fly, you've already had like hundreds of like hours of like flight time. Like for you to fly it as like a commercial pilot, you've flown privately in like, you know, smaller planes for like a very long time already. You have to have a set number of like hours to even get into it, which also translates to a lot of money. Vomit perfume. It's in red. Smells like creepy cupboard. No, more like amazing. I'll take 20. Amazing. I'll leave one as like a very ominous look, right? In the corner. Nice. So yeah, I mean, pilots are really skilled at what they do. They're just poorly paid. Last time I read, like, a pilot makes like, you know, just over like 65k or something, which is like around where I am. And that's after like, you know, years of training and like private training. Because again, when you go to become a pilot, you have to pay for the flying lessons. And they get very expensive. And you have to fly for a lot of hours. And you have to fly consistently. Like, you can't just fly for like, you know, a bunch of hours, wait like 5 years, and then fly for some more hours. You have to fly consistently. A lot of hours. And then you get to apply for a commercial position. It's fucking nuts. It's, you make more money just going into like software than you do flying or being, well, sometimes more than, most of the time more than a nurse here. Unless you're like a traveling nurse, in which case you make like 10 times as much. But that's why they can't afford nice microphones. Oh well. Such is life. Yeah, it's funny though that you did send those crash recreations to a budding was a pilot. That's a very, in a like, it's just a very morbidly funny thing to like do. I don't know. I think I would do that too if I was in your shoes. Because A, it is good training material, but also B, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just funny. I don't know. It's funny and not in like a haha way. It's funny in like a oh my god way, like a shock manner way. If that makes sense. Okay, I think I have hit my limit though. I feel myself hitting my like limit. I think we talked about as much as we could. Okay, this game is very fascinating. Again, I kind of forgot that I was playing this game, because I was just running around for like an hour and like a half, okay? But can you believe I spent less time on this than Half Sword? I played Half Sword for even longer, but I feel like I've been playing this for like hours, because this feels like you're inside of like an actual airport, okay? The airport has nothing to do. I wish this game had more like gift shops and like food stalls. That's the only thing that's really missing. But it really does capture that like chill vibe of like just like hanging out inside of like an airport doing like nothing, just like talking to like people, hanging out. But I'm done, okay? I need to go. You can tell from my voice I'm like very, very tired. Maybe you can't tell, I don't know. I really don't know why my voice is so hard to like mix for. I hate it, IMO, because it's too deep. And my microphone doesn't give the higher frequencies enough pull, and I don't know how to EQ my voice well enough to like even attempt it. Like, I know how to EQ, but I don't know how to do it from my voice that sounds correct, because I hear myself differently. Like, I would need like an audio engineer, like a third party to like do it for me, because I don't know what I sound like. Concoction. This sounds like they just missed like a single. They're missing a single letter. Smells like watermelon, more than the necessary amount of vanilla ice cream from Lucid Dreams. Yeah, you think people want to lower the amount of hours you need for commercial flights? Yes. Since people think there's so many hours is not necessary, and yep, and there's a pilot shortage, yep. I mean, it'd be fine if there was two things, right? It's like, because you can't have both, right? You can't pay pilots like peanuts compared to doing anything else. It's way easier, I'm telling you, to get into software than it is to be a pilot, a doctor, or a nurse. Way easier, right? You stand a much higher chance of making way more as well, especially if you get into the larger places, which is a lot easier. You have less pressure as well, because no one's going to die on your dime, for the most part. Unless you work in like healthcare, in which case, you know, good luck. But it's like, you can't have such insane requirements when the classes cost so much, and it'll take them like 20 years to pay off just the cost of the classes alone, based on how much they make in the first place, right? Most industries fall into that sort of like, you know, Twilight zone of like, it costs too much to become a thing, versus the rewards that you get for being a thing. And for being a teacher is a very similar way in that like, you don't get paid enough to really make up for a lot of what goes on there. Which makes sense too. Like, it's a very unfortunate side effect of like, you know, how society has like gone, and I hate it. And I hope that we eventually do work by it, but yeah, they've been looking into it, because like, yeah, there's less pilots, costs too much to even get into, and they don't pay enough. It's a cool job, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you're on the hook for like anything that like happens. And if something happens, it's like a guaranteed 100% death rate. Basically. If something like major happens, you're probably going to like die. So, you know, hard to really sell a job with such poor prospects. At least if it paid well, like it used to. Because it used to pay very, very well way back then, right? It used to be a very respected job. Then it'd be great. But now, I don't know. It feels bad. Yeah, that was kind of shocked when he said he wanted to do the test. You tried to find him a teacher specialized in aviation, but he refused to be taught by them after one lesson. He was like, he doesn't trust them. He thinks they're full of shit. At least you tell me when you don't know something. I feel like they just pretend to know something, so just teach it to them yourself. And you're like, all right, shit. I guess you're learning to fly too. Apparently, okay. Well, hopefully you didn't have to teach them flying too much. But yeah, that's basically how it does go. I mean, everyone's trying to pay off their like dues, right? Like everybody is. And like, it reminds me a lot of like what because my boss was getting into like flight as like a hobby. Mind you, my boss was rich as fuck. So like for him, getting into like a flight as like a hobby is like a very different thing. But he was at least honest about the fact that like, yeah, like most of the stuff, it's mostly just like you don't get paid well, the hours are long and stressful, and it's not really worth it. And he was like, if I had to choose, I wouldn't become a commercial pilot, even though that's what his dream was. That's why he said, that's why he literally told me, that's why I'm here as your boss, so that I can make money to then go become a pilot without becoming broke, and also so that I can actually find a quality teacher to teach me how to fly. Because he was like, yeah, it costs a shit ton to find a really good teacher who knows the like stuff too. Because he did mention that same thing of like, it's kind of like that whole thing of like, you go to school to learn the thing to then teach someone else. Because that's the only way to make money. He was like, oh, and I was like, well, shit, okay. Interesting dude. Probably the weirdest boss I've ever had. Very smart guy, actually, very, very smart. The only person that I've ever like talked to that I'm like, damn. Like they definitely kind of like, or at least understanding of what they're doing, and they're surprisingly not like privileged, like, or like they're surprisingly not up their own ass about things. Like they're very aware, like, yeah, this like job sucks and no one should like do it, and you're honestly better off doing something else. But he just really wanted to fly planes. He's very much like me. We're weird. Maybe that's why I got along. So was it preparing for getting into a flying school? Oh, so okay, right, because you were just teaching him how to like even learn the words to even do the like, test, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. In that case, yeah, that makes sense. Like being able to like go into like a flying school versus like a language school. I mean, to be fair, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And if you are willing to like, you know, say like you don't know something, but you're willing to like try and explain the like concept, then that does at least say like, you know, there's at least honesty, right? Because how many people know, like how many people are trained enough to teach a language, and also know enough about flying to understand all the like terms, right? I imagine that intersection is maybe close to 0, closer to 0 than it is to 1. As like a percentage of the population, or of the people who know at least one of those skills, right? Closer to 0. It's such a niche skill set that like you might as well find a really good language teacher, because the school is gonna cover everything else. So hey, looks like you're a decent or good language teacher, I guess. I don't know. Congratulations. I guess I'm proud of you. I don't know why I said that so like, you know, weirdly. I sound like a deadbeat father. I guess I'm proud of you, yeah. Thanks. Can you get out of the way so you're blocking the TV, the sports game's on? Sorry. Vominade! Oh my god. We're gonna end it on Vominade. Okay? My left pinky is tired from holding shift to run around the airport. I love this airport game a lot. Again, I just wish that there was more stuff to like do. But it captures the vibe perfectly. And as a stream ender, it's like a nice stream ender, okay? And again, sorry for such a sort of like a very sort of like short stream today. It has been short? Holy fuck, it's been 7 hours. Fuck. It was supposed to only be like 5 hours. Okay, well shit. I'm gonna have to do some more stuff. Anyways. No stream tomorrow. No stream the day after. The watch, keep an eye out to the full playthrough channel. I'll be uploading videos of playthroughs that I recorded yesterday as well as tomorrow. Okay? There's gonna be videos that maybe not they aren't always games, but hopefully it's gonna be something that is entertaining for somebody out there. Be sure to keep an eye out, and hopefully you enjoy those as well. Let's buy some Vominade and let's get the heck out of here because I'm feeling tired. Smell the Vominade. Smells like molasses. No, more like sea salt. And sea salt smells like ass. It is a perfect end to this game. We'll leave a single one in the corner on the very top. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Again, if you want like a chill game to just like walk around, it's a bit like exploring like a liminal space, but there's nothing scary. It feels very cozy in a way. It feels like I'm playing a very cozy like a cafe simulator or like something, but like you're just walking around like a weird airport. Interminal is a solid game for that kind of like vibe. Very solid game. I'm surprised again that it's free, and I'm surprised there's not much more to it. But I wonder if you could make a mod for this to add more. I'm curious to see what more could be done. Again, just needs a gift shop and set. But that's all for Interminal. We may never visit this game ever again, so be sure to keep, be sure to really soak in the fact that there's Vominade here. Really soak it in.